You may have seen in one of my previous videos on the Mad Waves Mad player that Cubee fell off the table several times and has broke his leg, so I need to open him up. Here how I replaced the right hip servo, which was also broken. We have the right hip servo. Basically got buzzing noise in here, so what I need to do is to open this up. So I'll use my wow stick. Oh, so let's turn that off. Don't want to open it while it's still switched on. That won't be a good idea. We're looking to see what the cogs are like inside this servo. Undo this little bar and turn this over. Let's take the top off and have a look what's inside. As you can see, the gear that was supposed to be there has completely and utterly disintegrated. The one that was on there, it's completely shattered, and that's really quite bizarre. It's sustained such a damage. Let's just grab this piece here. Come on, get it? It's literally smashed to pieces. Wow. Normally you see one or two teeth go missing on some of these gears, but you don't normally see complete destruction. Right, so that's the equivalent. So whereas on this one some of the teeth got chewed off, with this it completely chewed the whole lot off, so there's absolutely nothing left. Okay, so what I need to do now then is to replace this servo with this servo, and then hopefully we should have a working Cubee robot. I'll get on and do that. So first off, let me just separate these cables on this one too, because I don't want them interfering with each other, and push those other cables out of the way. Just don't want them being melted. Just clean the soldering iron tip. Now what I want to do is to tin the tip, which is just put some solder on it, and then grab each of these wires. I'm going to go from front to back. The reason for going from front to back is that I don't want to be going across the other wires as I'm desoldering. So let's take the orange off, and then the red off, and then the brown off. As you notice there, I did it as quickly as possible, and the temperature on the soldering iron is 340. So this will now go in a box of spares. Having discovered that this servo's damaged, I'm going to use another one of these SG90s. But before I use it, obviously, I want to know that it works. I don't want to go wiring it into the Cubee if I don't know it works. So what I've done is I've set up this new Cellmeter 8, which amongst its functionality is a battery discharger and tester. It also has a servo test facility. So let me just give it 5 volts. Okay, so I've got 5 volts, and in order to test the servo I need to switch this to servo test. Just bring that down a little bit and then press and hold this servo test button. Okay, and there's the servo itself, and we can see that nothing's moving on the servo. If I test this again, it'll give me the ppm at 1500 microseconds, and then there's another option that basically swings it through, and as you can see, as the numbers change, the servo is going backwards and forwards. So this is a working servo, so this is the one I'm going to use. Clean the soldering iron tip, getting the old solder off it. It's in the end of the soldering iron. Now what I'm going to do with this one, because it's such a small area, I'm actually going to put some solder on the points to make sure they actually come off. Okay, add some fresh solder on the end. Now, one cable at a time. Here's my tweezers. Okay, that's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. Okay, I've cleaned the tip, and now what I want to do is I want to tin each of these pads. So a little bit of solder on the very tip of that, And then I'm going to put solder on each of these pads very quickly. Okay, and you can see that those are nice and shiny balls, which means they are good solder joints. If you look at those in comparison to some of this soldering that's on this device, I mean, this soldering is just absolutely horrendous, seriously bad. But I'm just concentrating on my wires at the moment. The next thing I need to do is to tin each of these wires, because I want a perfect little ball of solder on the end so they're nice and smooth. Just tin the tip, and then in this case we're going orange, red and brown. So start with the back, so it's difficult with fiddly wires. Okay, just tap that. Okay, orange is in place, and clean the tip again, and a bit of tin. Okay, so we want to go red. Clean the tip. You might think it's a bit excessive, keep cleaning the tip, but what you don't want is old solder on the end to create a dry joint. And there we have it. 3 wires in place. So now when I turn on this, we should hear this make its initial noise and then not make a fuss. Silence. I'll just turn that off. So as far as I can tell now, all the servos are working. I need to put this servo back together again, and I need to squeeze those wires together tightly there without crossing them. Put this end cover back on, again making sure I'm not crimping any of the wires there. That's good. And now insert the screws all the way down. Next one, all the way down. Now use my Woucher screwdriver. Okay, so there we have it. I'll just need to tighten that up. I'll do it off this block so I can see what's going on. Oops, as you can see there's a bit of a gap there, so I'll just clip that back together. Make sure everything's working. Okay, right, just zoom in on it and check the tip. Okay, so we've pushed the servos back in to the position they're in, and now what we need to do is to just pull forward these cables out of the way, kind of like that, and then fold over the top so that those 2 points meet with the servo shapes. Okay, so do that and then push that on. So now we have the servo and the 2 legs. Again, switch it on again. Let's see what happens. Well, that's great. Now what we need to do is to connect these back in and pulling through the cables. Now one of the things that we already know, so it won't fit in that gap as this leg is working. I don't want to risk damaging the cables, so I'm actually going to screw that back in place. So basically I want to be pulling on that cable. That leg needs to go onto there and then get screwed back in place. So I'll do that now. So that leg's now in place, and now I need to come over to the other side and do the same again. However, we do have a problem, because as always with these things, 2 things are never the same. So if I zero this and then open that in the gap, we can see that that gap is 4.17. But if I actually go on to the servo, it's 4.74. So now I'm on a hunt around my room to find something which is 4.7 or 4.8. Okay, I've found this 5mm or 4.9mm tap, and what I need to do is to fiddle about in here, making this bigger. It's extremely sharp, so it shouldn't have any difficulties with stripping the inside out of there, as long as it'll go in deep enough. Of course, unfortunately what it's doing is it's stripping off the actual grooves which we see here, but what we're after at the moment is just something that's the right size, and so what I can do is use heat shrink to then make that the right size, but I need that to go on, and now as you can see it now fits over it. So what I need to do now is either to glue that or put some heat shrink on it and then screw it back on, and that may well be enough. Okay, I found a 4.97 twist drill which fit in there quite nicely and enable me to just open it up a bit. Obviously it's completely loose, so now I need to put some heat shrink on here, and as you see that'll just go straight on top now, so I just need to cut a piece off and then screw it in place, and it should be okay. If not, I'll glue it. So there it is, it's working. So now I need to put its head back on and get its mouth back in place, and hopefully it'll last quite a lot longer. I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the channel and check out my other videos, and make sure you subscribe to see the rest of this series. Thanks for watching, bye.